I got into Cambridge University for my bachelor. I did architecture. The thing I was going to say about like achieving things in general is that you got to put in the hours. Like have fun, enjoy life, be happy, but you got to put in the hours. Like nothing worth having could be achieved easily. So um, that's about anything in life in general. With Cambridge University, like specifically, well, we could say Oxbridge, but you know, I'm not a fan of the other place, so I'm going to stick to Cambridge. Um, for me, Cambridge was a one objective, so I didn't really have a second option. Like for me, it was Cambridge or Cambridge. That's the attitude I went in with. I remember one of the first meeting I had with Mr. Marshall, which has been like this focal figure in St. Andrews for me. And I'm so happy that he's still there. I see he's grown a beard. He didn't have one when I was a student there. So, but I was going to say like my first meeting with him, I was like, I want to get into Cambridge University. You got to help me with it. Like, you know, push me, tell me what I got to do. You got to be very clear with your intentions, with your goals. And Cambridge is like a way of life. You learn way more than your subject. If someone asked me what did you get out of Cambridge, I was like, yeah, I became an architect eventually, but becoming an architect is not what I got out of Cambridge. First of all, we learned how to learn. We learned how to think. So that's why Cambridge, I think it's this one place where you grow so much as an individual rather than a professional. I'm sure there are 100 of other really good universities in the UK, and you can professionally you can get so much out of any of them, really, because it's if you're willing to do the work and if you're passionate about something, you will become proficient at it eventually. But it's about who you become as an individual that is really important. The support that I got from the teachers and St. Andrews was immense. Like I had Miss Edmondson for my math class, and she was like great. I think she might still be around. She was like maths was my number one subject. I got an A star in maths, and my art teacher as well. Like my Italian and Spanish teacher, everyone was really supportive. So at least for St. Andrews, I got this thing is if you go to the teachers with a very clear objective, I want to achieve this, they're there to help you structure your way, but you got to have to do the work. So luck is there somewhere in between like the lines, but most of it, it's like you have to do the work. Like, don't get me wrong, like you have to put time aside for yourself. You have to do sports, you have to do extracurriculars, which are good for you, but are also good for the university. So at first I thought that, oh yeah, if you do like these extracurricular activities, they're going to look good on your CV and it's going to be good for the university application. But to be honest, then I realized it's not about that. It's that doing these extra things, it's actually good for you. And that's why universities, such like top universities, put so much emphasis on it, because they know how good it is for you, but you don't know at the time. So they just make it kind of like part of a requirement to help you grow before even getting there. So it's like way more like complicated than it looks. So it's not, oh yeah, they wanted me to be a volunteer at this thing. No, they want you to learn about time management, because as Alia mentioned, Cambridge has a very big workload. I did architecture, so I've pulled a lot of all-nighters. Like we had a maximum of 5 in a row with like a 2-hour sleep. So like all-nighters was a thing that we did, but you know, eventually you come to miss it, because you only can do it until like you are 23, 24, 25. After that, like you can't do it anymore. Like it's like it feels like a hangover if you've pulled an all-nighter. So the workload is big, but you got to learn how to manage. And if you're concentrated, you could do one thing in 1 hour, and if you're not, it's going to take you 5 hours and still not have a good result at it. So a lot of things do seem very straightforward, but they're not actually. Like you have to learn like bits and pieces of the puzzle. For me personally, I didn't even want to apply to other universities, because it was like, I'm getting into Cambridge or I'm getting into Cambridge. Like I was quite sure in my objective. It was again Mr. Marshall who was like, hey Ilva, but it might be good to do the other applications, which, if I'm going to be honest, we did a really bad job with them. Like, as in, like, I didn't pay much attention. I was like, oh, I'm doing this because Mr. Marshall said, but I have to get into Cambridge. So all my energy actually went into that. And looking back at it now, I think it's good. Like, his suggestion comes from a lot of experience, obviously. But on the other hand, if you have a safety net, you might not perform as well as you think, as you might be able to, because you're like, oh yeah, but if I don't get this, I have this other option. Whereas if you're like, this is my only option, you're going to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You're going to become a better person, and you definitely got to achieve that objective that you have. So, like, coming from me, I would say just like make your mind what you want. It might not be Cambridge, although I would highly suggest it. Like, the experience that you're going to get out of a place like Cambridge, it's like, I mean, you already know what the city is about, the community, the vibe, and it's like, it's so nice to live in Cambridge. It's like, I don't know. I really love my home country. I'm back to Albania now. I'm really happy with everything that I have achieved so far. But if I would be, if I would have to live somewhere else, I would definitely go back to Cambridge. Like, I love the place. Like, when my kids are in time, like, to go back to uni, like, I'm definitely sending them to Cambridge. It's going to be like Cambridge or Cambridge. Yeah, like, just push yourself. Like, Cambridge is not easy, but it's not rocket science. Like, if you put in the hours, if you do your research. Alia mentioned something about not over preparing for an interview. So I'm not sure about, so if I got it correct, like, her concept about over preparing. In general, I would say it's not about the list of questions. It's about, you need to be prepared overall. You need to be clear in your head why you want something. Like, I want to go to Cambridge because of this and because of that. And she did say something that is absolutely true. So it's not so much about knowing the right answer. It's about your thinking process. So when you go into the interviews, a lot of it is about thinking out loud. You could be like, oh yeah, this could be this or could be that, but because so like, you just have to go through the thinking process, but don't like freak out because you don't know the answer. Like, throughout life, we don't know most of the answers. So just like, be comfortable with yourself. But something else that I have also learned is that being comfortable comes from having a background of a lot of preparation. So if you have done the work, if you're prepared, then you will feel comfortable, because you'll be like, well, yeah, through all whatever the research I've done, I haven't really come across to an answer to this, but you have a way of thinking. You will feel comfortable on your own feet. So that's what I would say. I always had this thing, like, grades are not important. So like, you need to learn for learning, not to get the grades. But unfortunately, they are an important indicator of quality. So that's why you have to get those grades, but you shouldn't aim for the grades. You should aim for the learning. And that's something that I know the teachers at St. Andrews are really good at it. Like, working in such small groups, like you learn in St. Andrews, I think it's super beneficial. That's something that we also had in Cambridge. Like, we had lectures. So my course, architecture course, had 45 students. But then we had 2 sessions a week where we were like 2 students with the professor. So it was like super tight-knit group where you would learn from like one of these really good professors in their fields. So I think St. Andrews, even at the time, but even now, like more now that I've spoken with Vicky, she's telling me like all these new improvements and new directions that St. Andrews is taking. That place has everything you guys need to prepare for, and you could get to Cambridge or any other Cambridge that will be invented eventually, like, if there is, you know what I mean. So you have the means. Believe in yourself, do the hours. So don't think like, oh yeah, I'm smart. It doesn't matter. Like, hours outsmart the smart. So being smart is really good. Being confident is really good, but you have to do the hours. Like, work hard. And you will, if there is one thing that you will regret, is not having worked hard enough during your A-levels and during your university. Like, I think the first, like the bachelor part of university is the time when you work the hardest. That's the foundation of your education. You could do 100 masters, you could do PhDs, postdoctoral research, all that. But bachelor studies are important because they shape you, they shape the way you think. So that's why it is important. It's like the foundation, like, I'm an architect. So if you're building, you could build a really big building, but if you don't have solid foundations, then no. So that foundation is the A levels you do at St. Andrews and the bachelor that you do at university. So it's just 5 years, guys. You're going to have the time to like have fun. And even when you're in Cambridge, you're going to have the time to have fun. Like, trust me, I did sports, I did rowing, I did a lot of other activities. I went out a lot. So like there is time to do all of that. You just have to be really good at time management. And obviously I love speaking. So please, like, cut me short if I'm taking too much time. Like,
no, that's fantastic. That's fantastic advice, because we do have, I think our students in general are very, very smart, but I do think putting extra hours and just to make sure you are down to earth, working very, very hard, because based on my experience, the students who go to very top universities, they basically all have A or A star with their subjects. That's very important.
exactly. So if you have if you're smart, it's a shame to waste it. You're gonna regret it. And living a life of regret is really, really not worth it. It's like really bad, like for you in the long run. You're gonna be a professional and you'll be like, oh, what if? Like, it's just like a few years. Just put in the effort. And especially if you're going to study something that you like and you're passionate about, it's not going to sound that terrible. Like, you should make it like a fun process. Honestly, I think if you're doing something that you're passionate about, you're really going to enjoy the process, regardless of how difficult it will be. Like, nothing is easy in life, and it just gets more difficult with time. Like, I have 2 kids now, so like my daughter is giving me, she's challenging me the whole time, and she's 4, and I'm like, oh my god. So it just gets more difficult in life, but you really have those 5 years are about you. You are the center of the universe. Like, I don't know how much longer that's gonna, because eventually you get into a relationship, you have your family, you have kids, all that. So those 5 years are about you. Make them count, because you're going to be happy and you're going to feel much better for the rest of your life. So don't let them go to waste. You have a great opportunity. Like, studying at St. Andrews is like definitely the best thing that happened to me. And I wouldn't have got into Cambridge if I didn't go to St. Andrews. And I can, like, flat say that, like, St. Andrews has been decisive into getting into Cambridge. But so you have all the resources. Just you need to include the main ingredient, which is your efforts, and just make it really like your objective for the time being there. Make good use of it.